Yo, what's going on guys, Havoc here now back. Today we're going to be taking a look at 12 more fan ideas that were actually added into the game. You guys really seem to enjoy the first video that I did about this, and a lot of you wanted to see a part 2. So here we are. This list comes directly from a post that Supercell made. This post highlights things that were originally community suggestions and they ended up adding. So yeah, the post was written by Supercell, don't worry, I'm not just pulling stuff out of my ass. So with that being said, let's get right into it.
Let's do this.
The air bomb. The air bomb was actually one of the first fan suggestions to be ever added into the game. It was suggested in October of 2012, only 2 months after launch, by a user named BBOdega. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but yeah. The trap was then announced in February of 2013 and released within a couple days. I personally didn't know this. I mean, I thought the air bomb was already a thing when the game came out, but no, apparently not. The more you know, I guess. The witch. It's not often that Clash of Clans adds a literal troop from an idea. I mean, we do know that the miner and the baby dragon was also a fan idea, but these troops already existed in the Clash Royale world. So no one really had to make those troops, you know. At the time, we only had the minions, Hog Rider, and the Valkyrie. So there was a lot of room for improvement. There was just the barracks was empty pretty much. So people started to make ideas about what could be the next dark troop. After about a month, Supercell announced the Golem, and then I assume they started to work on the witch because they liked the idea. So that was added in July of 2013, about 4 months after the Golem. It's a pretty interesting story, and I'd love to know if any more troops were purely based on fan ideas. Before moving on, this video is kindly sponsored by Infinity Kingdom. Infinity Kingdom is a cartoon-style MMO strategy game set in a massive world where you summon famous figures from history and defend the world against evil gnomes. Now you start off by choosing one kingdom and you end up fighting against the other two. You aren't alone though, obviously. You have your troops and even dragons which you can hatch and pair with immortals. And if you're wondering, the ultimate goal of Infinity Kingdom is to conquer the largest city in the map. There is a feature called City Siege in which you have to occupy as many cities as possible in order to grow stronger. And in the end, the alliance that has successfully occupied the world hearts will get to choose the king for the entire land. Now, if you're wondering, yes, I have created my own alliance, which you can join right now. It is named after my channel. Feel free to join me, but things don't end there. There is also an event going on in the server Contention of Legends, which is server 97. Influencers from around the world will be participating. The other two kingdoms, Ruslan and Vitas, will be led by influencers from South Korea, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. So make sure to stop by and support your team if you're interested. Now, if you've already tried Infinity Kingdom before, right now, if you log back in, you will get a special and unique speed up buff. So guys, make sure to download with the link down below. Thank you to Infinity Kingdom for sponsoring this video. Now, back to the dank. Balloons death damage. You know that thing balloons do when they die and they fall down and drop a bomb? Yeah, that wasn't there. That was actually a user submission, and I did not know this. Now, this is a pretty bad quality video, but work with me here. This is from 2012. If you look closely, when the balloon was taken out, it sort of just vanished into thin air. I can't believe I even found this footage. Anyways, in April of 2013, the balloons were updated to now deal death damage, and so they got a new, fresh animation, and it's been about the same since then. Upgradable traps. This one has an interesting story because it all started way back when the game came out. Upgradable traps was a common fan idea. I mean, let's be honest, anything that didn't have a level, we made concepts for. So the builder hut, somebody made levels for that. Traps, they had no levels, so people started to make concepts. Until eventually they ended up adding levels for traps in November of 2013, which was only about a year and a couple months after launch. Everything got a level except for one trap. The Spring Trap. Players again started to suggest ideas for a new Spring Trap level. What could it do? What could it look like? Supercell saw these suggestions, but it was never really a priority. Finally though, about 3 years later in May of 2016, Spring Traps were finally given levels. It was kind of a back and forth situation with the community and Supercell, but hey, I think it was well worth the wait. Co-leaders. If you didn't know, clans back then only had members, elders, and a leader. Pretty weird to think about today, huh? Well anyways, this feature took surprisingly long to be added. I mean, I don't remember it being that long, but yeah, it was added about a year and a half after launch, which was in January of 2014, around the same time as Town Hall 10 was added to the game. The reasons are pretty obvious, I believe. You have a clan full of 50 people, and the only thing separating members and the leader was elder. There needed to be something in between. So when co-leaders were added, elders were given a nerf, and the rest, as they say, is history. Tornado Trap. Similar to the air bomb, the tornado trap was a fan idea as well. On February 21st, 2013, a user named Dark Matrona J suggested adding the tornado as a new defense that attacks both ground and air units. Yes, that long ago. It wasn't until 5 years later that it was announced in October of 2018. We didn't exactly get the defense though, we got a trap form of it. I'm assuming it did the same thing as people wanted, so yeah. Again, I didn't know this one, and it actually wasn't on the list. I actually found this scrolling through the Clash wiki, so pretty interesting. Splash damage for dragons and wizards. It's weird to think of a time when wizards and dragons did no splash damage. I mean, isn't that what they're known for to do today? What good would a wizard be if he could only hit an archer at a time, you know? Well, that's exactly what people thought back in the game's launch. It didn't make a whole lot of sense that these two troops that seemed like they could hit multiple troops weren't. In March of 2013 though, both of these troops now did splash damage. And it was all thanks to community suggestions. We did it, guys. A skeleton or witch related trap. Okay, this is the third and last trap in the video. People really like making cool concepts of traps, and Supercell really likes to test the great ideas, I guess. As it reads, the suggestion was for a skeleton or a witch related trap. Something to do with skeleton spawning, you know? I couldn't find when or who suggested the idea, but we do know that it was added in the game in October of 2014 as part of a Halloween update. I think I remember reading somewhere that it was supposed to be a temporary trap, but everyone liked the trap so much, they just ended up keeping it. I don't know, I could be imagining things, but that would make a whole lot of sense. Profiles. Profiles as we know it today are completely different as to what we had back then. But it all started with one thing: fan suggestions. At launch, the game didn't really have a profile feature. When you wanted to look at someone's profile, well, there was none. You just kind of visited their base or invited them to your clan. That's all you could do. Well, players who played Heyday noticed that, wait a second, Heyday has profiles. So why doesn't Clash of Clans? Huh? I guess we can give partial thanks to Heyday for existing, but also inspiring some new Clash of Clans features. After all, Heyday was released before Clash of Clans, so think of Heyday as the big brother who was giving advice at the time. Profiles were added into Clash of Clans about a year after launch in August of 2013. Custom troop request. Of course, this one was fan submitted. We were all fed up with receiving goblins and wall breakers. This feature took incredibly long to be added into the game. I mean, if we take a look at when this was added, it was barely yesterday. Yes, a year and a half ago. The idea has been suggested for an eternity. Nobody really liked receiving the wrong troops, you know? So everyone suggested, hey, why don't we have a system where you could just donate and receive what you wanted? One of the better concepts came from a YouTuber named Vobson, who made a video on how this new system would work. And let me tell you, it wasn't too far off. The concept was made in January of 2018, so a pretty long time before the feature was actually added. I think everyone was happy when this feature was announced though. Clan Mail. I'm not surprised this was a fan idea, but it makes me wonder sometimes, how long would we have been waiting for some of these features if nobody spoke up? In the last episode, we talked about Clan Wars being a community suggestion. Like, Imagine that, no clan wars. Anyways, clan mail was actually added at the same time as co-leaders, so that update really gave clans an upgrade. The feature was pretty well received since now the leader could send a mail instead of having to tell every single person in the clan about a new rule. Though there was a side of the community that wasn't exactly satisfied because they claimed anyone should be able to send a mail. Yeah, no. The loot cards. It's really not a surprise that the loot card was a fan suggestion because after all, we love free things. That isn't a bad thing though because that's how we eventually got the loot card and the gem mine and a lot more features like this. The way the loot card works is that every time you get attacked, it collects 20% of the loot you just lost. It'll keep accumulating until it gets full or after 90 days. And that may seem like such an obvious description of the loot card, but honestly, I didn't know it collected 20%. I just thought it was like I never bothered to check, you know? I know, I should have been paying more attention, I guess. Anyways, players around the world have always wanted some return from getting attacked, like a get well soon gift, you know? A pretty neat feature to this day. So guys, I think that should be it for these 12 fan suggestions that were actually added into Clash of Clans. There's a lot more, but as we go on and on to maybe part 3, things get a little less interesting, so trust me, I'll do my research, and if I find 12 more actually interesting things, I'll probably make a part 3. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching. Havoc Gaming out. Peace!